Welcome to Embellish Maker Fundamental Video 2, where we're going to talk about text and specifically puff foam text. When you open your software program, this is the screen that you will see. We're going to close this out, and more than likely your screen looks like this. If you haven't watched the Embellish Maker Fundamental Video 1, let's just do a quick recap. Your different digitizing and automated conversions are on the left. Your properties and sequence view are on the right. To expand these all, we're going to select expand. Or you can simply open which one you want. I find it more helpful to expand them all until you learn where everything is. On my program, notice I have some icons with an orange or yellow letter N. Craft and Cut software automatically loads and functions inside of Embellish Maker. So if you own Craft and Cut, you'll have all of these additional techniques and icons available to you. If you don't own Craft and Cut yet, you won't see these. And this is a full digitizing program, standalone. It's not necessary to have Craft and Cut, but if you do, you've got a powerhouse. To open a new page, we're going to go under File and New, or you can select a new page here. Your Page tab is down on the bottom. So let's talk about fonts and text. Now, this is a shortcut bar with the most commonly used icons or functions. You can find text here, or scroll down till you see the word text. And notice we have different types of text. One of the functions is only available to Craft and Cut users. So if I wanted to create text, I'm going to just click on that and then click anywhere in the screen. Scroll on over to the Properties window and click on the font name, and then you can have drop down menu. Now, in the letter N for Craft and Cut, these are fonts or artwork that are available to me because I own Craft and Cut. You may not see these if you're not a Craft and Cut owner. You'll see everything else. For instance, let's scroll down to find a Kate O font, and I'm going to select that, and nothing happens until you scroll down and click Apply. Let me zoom in so you can see that. Now you can view this 3D, and what you're seeing here is you have a great function. If you go ahead and take your mouse and click on the diamond, you can spread the letters closer or further apart. And the really cool thing is all the letters behind it are like a choo-choo train, and they will scroll with you. The little squares are so you can move letters up or down. Here's your undo button. Now you can also see this little, let's zoom in, and there is a little, whoops, let me undo that, go back in to my text mode, and I want to zoom in to show you this. I can take this little black dot and scroll up or down. Let me zoom back out so you can see what's happening. And I can distort my font, and I'm going to have a warning sign that says, basically, hope you're just too greedy. That's not recommended. So if I get that sign, I know I've just gotten a little bit excited, so I'll scroll it back down. Now that black dot will allow me to do this. I can also have some functions so I can warp the text. Let me undo all of this and get back to the original text shape. Perfect. Now if I want to get rid of the little nodes, let's say I have my letters exactly where I want them, I'm going to click off, and then I can click on the select tool. Now if you'll notice, I no longer have those dots. But if I hover my mouse inside of the text and right click, Then I have some really cool features, and we'll talk about those a little bit later. To make further edits, to get those little nodes back, select the text and then simply select the T icon again and they reappear. So you can do multiple lines of text. If you want to change the text where you see text and my text, just click there and drag your mouse over to highlight and you can put your own fonts. If you want to do a second line, simply hit return or enter on your keyboard, and then you can do a second or third or continuous line. Select apply at the bottom to see your changes. Now, if you want, this is alignment is center. So if I would like to change it to left alignment, I simply change that and hit apply. Or we have a right alignment, and you can apply that. This is pretty self-explanatory, but you have sizes that you can change. This is a standard satin, and that's the way most of your designs are going to stitch out, but you do have a lot of options here, and you have different fill patterns. So for instance, the cornrow or random, which is usually used for fur, it's no longer, let's click off so you can see what that looks like when I changed it from a satin stitch to a random fill stitch. Let me hit undo or select undo and you can see the satin stitch. Let's go ahead and select this again. In this property, you've got your stitch length and you're probably going to leave that default. If you want more density, meaning the stitches are closer together, you would make this a lower number. If you wanted to emboss and scale percentage, angle, we won't talk about puff foam just yet. Your underlay, it gives you what it recommends, but if you wanted to add, for instance, Zig Zag Underlay, it shows you what that looks like. You would just select these, and you can select more than one, and we would need to apply this. So notice here I have 4,035 stitches when I added underlay. I changed the underlay, and here I have 4,044, so more stitches or less are applied. If I scroll down beyond the underlay, you can also close these if you don't really want to worry about pole compensation. Just close that. Transform, this is what most of you may be looking for. If you want to resize the text, you can put an actual inch or millimeter number here, or you can scale it by percent. If you want to maintain the aspect ratio, make sure that is selected. And if you want to rotate it by a degree, let's just rotate that 10%. To undo that, we can also, to rotate the text, click on this little blue circle. Let me zoom in. So I can rotate it by simply hovering my mouse over there, and when you see that arrow, just drag till your heart's content. All right, we're going to get rid of underlay and fill, and notice how you can just close these out. And to transform it, you can type in a number. Now I'm in inches. If you want to be in millimeters, hover your mouse over this toolbar, right click, and then select millimeters. And we select it again. And let's go all the way down to the bottom, and now you can see I am in millimeters. So this is just an overview of the text. Now, let's go back. Let me undo this and get back to where we were. Now, one of the things I want to point out, let me get out of 3D mode, and I'm going to zoom in on the ends. We're going to talk about puff foam. And puff foam, if you're not familiar with what it looks like, it would be where you add some foam underneath the stitches to have some raised definition. So let me show you a picture of what that looks like. So here is an example of what puff foam looks like. You can see that the middle white letters are very high and raised, and these are high and raised with definition, but not as high. Under the white stitching is 6mm Embellish craft foam, puff foam. This is a special foam that we've created that you'll find at your dealers that's made to take the heat of the iron, dry cleaning, washable, dryable, won't crumble. And under the pink thread is the 2mm. Let me show you another picture. This just shows all of the fonts available to you inside of Embellish Maker. And here's a different angle to show you that definition. I just love this look. Let's go back to Embellish Maker. So back to the software. To make this work, you can't just use any font, because when the stitching happens, you're going to need to seal or cap off the ends. So let's go back into the font, and I'm going to simply change it. For this, we have 38 fonts right now that you can use for puff foam. And let me show you how to know which fonts they are. In the Properties window, select Font. You can actually, I didn't show you this, but on any font, click on the question mark, and this will show you the minimum height that it's recommended or the maximum. Try to stay within these limits and you know it'll stitch good. It also shows you the different characters available in this font. When I click on the font, right now we're on Kate O. Any fonts that you like to use for puff foam have to have the letter O for outline in front of them. For instance, Lumberjack. Let's select this. And let me get out of 3D mode. And I want to zoom in for you right here. This is a good spot to be in. And what you're looking at is in this area, these are where the stitching starts and ends on letters. If you were to lay the foam down underneath the stitches, when you tore it away, it would stick out of the ends unless you seal each beginning and ending of the font with stitches. Let me show you how to do that. We're going to come into the Properties window. Let's select the font again so the Properties window reappears. There's 2 steps to making fonts that will work with the foam. Number 1 is you pick any font with a letter O in front of it. If it doesn't have an O in front of it, it's not going to work. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is you're going to scroll down and you're going to look, whoops, sorry about that. You're going to look in this section and you're going to look for something that says puff foam capped ends. You have to check it and then hit apply. What is going to happen when I select apply after I've put a check in puff foam capped ends is all of these ends are going to be sealed with stitches so the foam won't stick out of the ends after it's embroidered when I pull it away. So watch in this area as I click apply. Now you can see that I've sealed all of the ends with stitches, and that will seal the foam, the special embellished foam underneath the stitches, and you can wash and dry clean it, iron it, and that foam is never going to crumble. I'm really excited about our new foam that we've created for the software. So when you look at 3D mode, it's a little bit hard to see. That's why looking in just the regular mode really lets you see all of those different sealed ends for the font. So as a quick recap, step number 1, choose any font that has an O in front of it. Now there are 2 fonts in here with a letter O that don't work. I can't remember what they are right now, but they are actually just like a line script. Let's see, there's one that's called applique. And I should have checked this out before the video. I apologize. But I know in making my sample, one is just a single line script. So it's not satin stitch. It stitches like a red work. And obviously that's not going to work for foam. And I can't see which one it is, but if you come across that, just know it has to be a satin stitch as well. So this is how you create puff foam with one click in Embellish Maker. Stay tuned for Embellish Maker Fundamentals Video 3.